Iranian protesters took to the streets yesterday to mark 40 days since Mahsa Amini died while in custody of the so-called morality police.
Her death sparked widespread anti-government demonstrations. Human rights groups say Iranian security forces have killed at least 200 people since the protests began. Let's bring in Ali Alfoneh. He is a senior fellow at the Arab Gulf States Institute in Washington. Ali, welcome. Great to have you with us. So, Iran has been unable, the regime has been unable to stop these protests, effectively leaving the government and the protesters at a sort of stalemate. But yet they are, cracking down. So where do the protests go from here? How does something like this gain enough steam that it can actually create some change?
Well, right now, the regime is extremely concerned about people's presence at the street level. The street is somehow a political university. That is where people radicalize, and the longer the people stay in the streets, the bigger is the risk from the government's perspective that they end up shaping some kind of a leadership, a revolutionary leadership. They organize, and that would be a great risk to the regime. This is why I am expecting them to be even harsher in their suppression of the protests and street-level protests in the coming days.
Iranian leaders have, from the very beginning, tried to say that these protesters are linked to other groups. They've said that there were foreign influences. Now they're trying to link them to an ISIS-claimed shooting at a famous mosque that killed 15 people. Is there any validity to that? What is actually driving the protesters?
Iran's government officials, they are truly embarrassing themselves. They killed a 22-year-old girl in police custody, and now they are trying to link protesters to foreign governments and even worse, to a foreign terrorist organization. This is, of course, completely nonsensical, but I do see that the regime is trying to use the terrorist attack of yesterday as a pretext to suppress even harsher and much more violent than they have done in the past.
And what do you think, in your professional view, could actually cause the Iranian regime to make some changes? Because, as you know, they already face so many sanctions. The U.S. has imposed additional sanctions on Iranian officials over its handling of these specific protests. But again, already there are so many sanctions. So will those have a substantial impact? And if not, what do you think can be done? What sort of international pressure might force Tehran to make some changes?
In the short term, I am not expecting the regime to give any kind of concessions to the protesters because they saw the 1979 revolution and they believe that the Shah of Iran back then gave concessions to the protesters, which made even more people join the protests. And that, of course, led to the collapse of the Pahlavi regime. They believe that if they do give concessions right now, the regime in its entirety will collapse. This is also why that I am not expecting any concessions in the short term. In the longer term, if and when the regime manages to persuade people to go home, some regime elements may think about the utility of all this very harsh legislation about enforcement of the hijab, morality police, and particularly, I do believe that there is a body called the Revolutionary Guard Corps, which may even try to think about future after Mr. Khamenei, after the time that longer a supreme leader in Iran. They may think about taking over power themselves, and they may try to reach out to the middle class to make peace with them. But that is not possible right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because neither the protesters nor the government seems to be softening in their positions.
No, and it sounds like a very long-term. What you're proposing sounds like a very long-term possibility, right? It won't happen overnight.
All right, Ali Alfoneh, thank you.
Thank you.